Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. Before I begin, I do want to inform you that I will be discussing topics on mental health, specifically eating disorders. However, I am not a medical professional. This is not medical advice. So if you are struggling, I strongly encourage you to talk to your doctor, a therapist, or anyone in your support system. But let's get to what you all came for. According to the Harvard School of Public Health, 9% of the US population will struggle with an eating disorder at some point in their lives. Eating disorders are the deadliest mental illness, with 10,200 people dying as a direct result every year. That is one death every 52 minutes. But 100% of the world population has stories worth sharing. My name is Kitay. I'm here today not only as a passionate advocate for mental health, but also as an equestrian, a friend, a family member, and a student, just like some of you. At 10 years old, my best friend took over writing my story. But she wasn't just any friend. She was my eating disorder. I'm now 20 and in recovery, ready to share with you the things I learned on my journey that cannot be explained in the DSM-5. The grief, boredom, and ambivalence hiding behind the word impossible. First and foremost, I want you all to understand that eating disorder recovery and just eating are not the same thing. Recovery isn't a time when you love your body all day, every day. It doesn't mean that every urge, every behavior, every thought will magically disappear. They will get quieter as the healthy voice gets louder. Sometimes letting go of the eating disorder feels like letting go of your best friend. But why? Why is it so hard to leave the family member, the partner, or friend that hurt you? Eating disorders are coping mechanisms. Mine protected me from the world, convinced me that controlling food and my body was the key to acceptance and happiness. So recovery, it was terrifying. It felt like giving up. Not on life, but on the only way I knew how to feel safe. And when you built your entire identity and your self-worth around the illness, recovery doesn't feel like freedom. It feels like loss. And with loss comes grief of the body, the behaviors, and the disorder that once felt safe. But often, I'm scared comes out as I can't do this. And I want you all to understand that this hesitation to recover is not an attention-seeking tactic. Wanting to recover is actually one of the hardest battles in recovery. And disguised as that reluctance is fear. But the only way to overcome fear is to face it head on. A therapist once told me to sit in the suck. Embrace the uncomfortable, feel the feelings, and allow yourself to grieve, to create room for healing. Because recovering from an eating disorder is like recovering from a bruise. It will feel worse before it feels better. But what happens when we do get to this quietness of recovery? Contrary to what some might expect, it feels like sitting in a slow, quiet classroom, waiting for your classmates to finish the exam you all just took. No TikTok to scroll on, no friends to talk to. You're trying to decide whether you should put your head down and close your eyes, or sit and stare at the clock tick second after second. It's boring, really, really boring. The highs, the lows, the adrenaline, the rituals, it's all gone. And when you're used to living with a brain that doesn't rest and occupying time with these addictive behaviors, it becomes your normal. You've been doing for so long, you need to allow yourself to be and create a new normal. Because one thing I can say with certainty is that the emptiness after the eating disorder is not wrong, but rather uncomfortable. What if I told you that one day food will just be food? Your body will just be the vessel you are living in. You are allowed to feel uncomfortable. You're allowed to feel proud of yourself. And you are also allowed to feel indifferent. Sometimes we get stuck in the space of wanting to create this new normal without letting go of the old one. This 1 foot in, 1 foot out mindset is known as quasi recovery. And quasi recovery is a performance of ambivalence. You say the right things, go to therapy, and check just enough boxes to keep people off your back. Behind every smile is a clock, counting down the minutes until you can return to the disorder. But washing the dishes just to get your parents to stop nagging you isn't going to teach you to love washing the dishes. Because when you recover for other people, for your therapist, your family, your friends, school, or work, it rarely sticks. Because you're not chasing freedom, you're chasing approval. And lasting recovery, that only begins when you stop trying to get out of treatment and start wanting to live again. There's a big difference between compliance and commitment, between doing it because you're supposed to and doing it because you want to and choose to. At some point, there has to be a shift from external accountability to internal ownership. Because real recovery isn't about looking good on paper. It's about breaking free from that toxic friend and building the life you want to live for you, not for the eating disorder. And with that, I want you all to ask yourself one question. What if it isn't that you can't do it, but that you're scared to? Or maybe you're not scared of getting better, but you're afraid of what you'll lose when you do. We're fluent in therapy speak. We know how to self-diagnose on TikTok, throw around terms like attachment styles, gaslighting, trauma response, often without sitting in the truth beneath them. We're scared to be honest, to say, I'm not ready to let go of this disorder that still feels like home. But guess what? That is honesty. That's the real beginning. Not the meal plan, not the treatment center, not the diagnosis. Recovery isn't always a sunrise moment. Sometimes it starts in the dark, in the silence between I'm fine and I need help. And if you are sitting here thinking, I can't do it, you're not broken, you're not failing, you're just honest. And maybe that's the first real step towards healing. Not forcing the want, but admitting where you are. Because the truth is, recovery isn't impossible. It's uncomfortable. And discomfort, that is survivable.